Steve Galer Horja. Hello everyone. Agus Fáilte Isteach and welcome into this month's member interview. It's Misha Emma. I am the community manager here on Bite Size and I'm joined today by Walter. Walter, Conas Atatu.
Anna go magad agus tú hen.
So, Walter, it's been a long time coming that I interviewed you. You've been a member with Bite Size for a little while now, so we're going to learn a little bit more about you because we haven't actually ever chatted ourselves on video, at least. We've had plenty of interactions on our private community, Bite Size Puble. So I'm excited to get to know you a little bit more. So I suppose the first thing that we'll do is I'll ask you to introduce yourself to our viewers and to me, of course, and we'll then go from there. So Inish Dom Futh Pain, Walter, tell me about yourself.
Walter Sanam Dam, agus Tommy Mahoney in Missouri, in America. Agus is doctor me, agus coach me. My name is Walter. I live here in Missouri, in the U.S., and I'm a doctor, but I'm also a musician, which is one of the things that really brought me to Irish language to begin with. So that's why I bring that up specific.
Anava fad. So yeah, I suppose that would be the next question to follow on after that is your first, well, I suppose, yeah, let's start there. What brought you to Irish? What in particular about the music sparked your interest in the language?
Yeah, so it was kind of a combination, actually, both the music and the language itself. I remember I was younger and I read an article about what they were calling endangered languages, languages that weren't widely spoken anymore. And I remember hearing a phrase a long time ago that, a people without a language are not a true people, or a country without a language isn't a country. There's various forms of it depending on where I'd heard it. But what really sparked my interest initially was that there were so many languages out there that were sort of losing speakers, and that along with that comes a loss of the culture and the really the identity that comes with that language. And around the same time, I had my first introduction to music, Asperge, and it was such a beautiful language and so I guess poetic, so to speak, in the way that the songs are composed, that I was really just taken by it. And then I think from a musical perspective, the sort of the key that the music's in, the method of playing, the different instruments that we don't hear outside of Irish music very much, really caught my attention. And then as I was reading more about this just general idea of languages that didn't have a lot of as many native speakers as they once did, Gaeilge came up on this list. And my family, I'm Ismail Kanakme. My grandparents are Irish, and they didn't speak any Irish once they came here. They wouldn't talk about where they come from and the circumstances under which they left, but occasionally I would hear them speak, say something, and it was very kind of disheartening to know that they knew this and that I didn't have the opportunity to learn it from them. I felt like I had missed that. So those two things together really brought me to first wanting to learn the language, in that it was a part of my own family's cultural heritage, and then the music at first to be able to understand it, but then more to connect with the feelings and emotions behind it, and be able to more fully understand the emotion behind the music that I love to listen to and eventually started playing.
Wow. I love, that's perfectly said on the fact that, once you lose a language, you lose the culture, and that's a widely known phenomenon. But I don't think a lot of people in Ireland, or not quite a lot of people do, but there's many people in Ireland, especially, who don't understand that prospect, that, if the language is lost, part of the culture is gone. And it's, I think people need to appreciate that more. And culture does mean language, music, heritage, folklore, stories, recipes, everything and anything. So there's a big mixture in there, and I agree with you fully. So I suppose, yeah, coming, as you said, you didn't have much contact with the language from your families, from the family side, but yet you do identify as an American, but also you say that your grandparents were Irish. So it's interesting that you came to, I suppose, looking at Gaeilge in that list online, and it wasn't kind of sparked initially, from your grandparents speaking it and then them showing you the music. So it's interesting how you came to that quite organically. And I suppose my next question would be then, what actually pushed you to learn the language? So it's fine to be able to play Irish music. There's people all over the world who enjoy and play Irish music, be it in Irish or in English or just traditional music with no lyrics. But I suppose, why did you then take the jump to actually learn how to write, speak, and all the rest of it?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I moved all over the country. U.S. is a big place, and takes up a big chunk of Western Hemisphere, on the map. And we, uh, I moved everywhere. I would live in one place for 6 months and another place for 6 months, and we were just constantly all over the place. I never really had a kind of a set uh, place that I felt was, my own or where I belonged to. But when I would, in between moves, I would actually live with my grandparents. And so I did learn, not the language, but culturally a lot of things from them. And I felt a connection to that. And it was kind of the closest thing that I had to any real solid home, because even though I'd only be there for a few months at a time, that was the consistent thing uh, throughout. And as they got older, and I realized that I wasn't going to be able to, I started to figure out that they knew this language and that I wasn't going to be able to so much learn it there. I decided that the preservation of that identity that was the only kind of safe place that I had when I was younger. I wanted to do something to help to preserve that, and then hopefully to eventually be able to kind of pass it on, to my kids as well. So with my own children, the three of them, as I started to learn, I started to involve them as well, and it was a way for us to be able to work together. So simple things like I have a 4-year-old, and when we play hide and seek, sometimes she'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes it's a hen, a do, a tree, a cara. She'll count in Irish. When we play games that have like a spinner board with colors, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes bui, gorum, der. So I'm trying to kind of help introduce them to that, to give them that sense that this language is important. But the thing that really pushed me to learn it myself was, as I went around and I spoke with people that like at work or in school and things like that, and I bring up that I've been reading about the Irish language. That a lot of times the answer I got was, "Wait, don't they speak English?" Was like, well, yes, but there's a whole there's a unique Irish language that is a long-standing, rich historical language, part of the culture. And even now, when people ask, what kind of things you do, and say, oh, I'm learning Irish, I still get the same response. Oh, I didn't know they had a language. And so that really was one of the things that kind of motivated me. And like, this language is not even known all over the United States, and people don't even know that this language exists. And yet, how many people in the United States originally, at some point in their history, came from Ireland? There was a huge, immigration here, and yet even this large population that a lot of people identify as Irish American or as Irish, or we have like here in the town where I live, there's a whole Irish section of the town that's one of the oldest parts of the town. Just like there will be an Italian section or a Bosnian section. There's a huge Bosnian population here too. But most of the people there don't have any idea that there's such thing as an Irish language. And that kind of pushed me over to say, you know what, I'm going to learn this as best as I can, and I'm going to do what I can to make sure that people know that we do have a language and that it should be, spoken and remembered.
Fair play to you. And on that note, do you think that, or have you maybe, or would you if you haven't, have you gotten involved in any way to spread the awareness of the language among the community that there in Missouri, or are you keeping to yourself and just are you on your own journey for now with your kids?
Right now, mostly on my own. However, I would be interested if I could find groups in this area that are local that are studying or would like to practice. One thing that I do, I teach medicine at so I'm a intensive care physician and neurocritical care physician. So I work in an academic hospital. I teach the people that are learning my specialty. And one of the things that I'll do before any time I give a lecture is I'll write something on the board in Irish, and I tell them anybody that can pronounce this gets an automatic pass for this lecture. And as I've started doing that, there are a few that have actually put in some time and they've figured out some of the pronunciation rules and they've been able to figure it out. I will, in the morning when I first see my fellows, depending on who's there, and I got a response the other morning, Anava. So I think people are paying attention to me, whether it's because I'm being annoying and they want to get past it, or because they're actually interested. And we have a lot of people from multiple, all over the world that come in and train in our program, and so in exchange, they've taught me some of their various languages. I got fellows from Nigeria, from Pakistan, India. I've learned things from them, and in turn, I've kind of forced them to learn things from me. But it's been a very interesting exchange with them, and a lot are at first that same response of there's a language there, but then after that, very interested, especially when they see the spelling and it looks like a cluster of letters at first, and then you start to go through, and it's a good reminder for me too, like this these letters actually make this sound, and yes, the rules are all very consistent for the most part. You just have to figure out what they are, and then you can pronounce them. My youngest daughter's actually, her name is Fia. It's Fiadh, and so we've had a heck of a time, making sure that everyone knows it's not Fiad or Fiata, but her teachers have gotten it now, and they're also interested. They know where'd that come from. I'd like to, learn a little bit more about that. So I guess in my own way, just on my own, I've kind of been, putting it out there, but not yet in any formal manner. But if the opportunity came up, I definitely would take part in it.
Well, I think what that's a perfect example. You say that you live abroad, you're obviously not surrounded by the speakers of the language. You're surrounded by a lot of people who don't even know the language exists, but you still manage to incorporate the language into your, if not daily, your weekly life. Even at home with the kids, that's fine, but you've even brought it outside of the home. And that's what I like to hear, that you're using words. I live in Germany, and I will say slán to people, and I don't really mind if they don't understand what I'm saying. I still have these little things that I'll do, whether or not the person that I'm speaking to can understand me. Of course, I teach Irish here in the university, so I do get to, as my students get better, I can incorporate more. But I love to hear that it's opened up doors for you to connect with other cultures, not just to educate people. You then in return receive something from the people who you're speaking to. So that's really, really, I think you'd be an inspiration to many people that are living outside of Ireland and feel that they can't put the language into use, or they can't speak the language with others because no one can, or they don't know how to start. It's just a little bits, and building on that then, and like you said, you'll get a gama at some point from someone. So I think I love to hear that. I really, really do. And as well, then with your daughter Fia, I understand that as well. My sister lives in Germany here with me, and her name is Siobhan, Siobh, Fada N, which is a common name. And maybe in the US, it's not so difficult for people now to recognize it. It's kind of a common name amongst English speakers. But in Germany, again, trying to explain that to people who don't understand the language is also a fun one. I was unlucky and lucky enough with Emma. I wish my mother would have given me a more interesting name, Irish wise. But anyway, so my next question then, Walter, would be regarding where you are now in your Irish language journey. So you joined us, correct me if I'm wrong, at some point in the summer of 2023, am I right? Where did you pull Bite Size Irish out of? And I suppose, where were you on your journey then, and where are you now? 3 questions in one.
Sure. I guess when I first started, I had tried multiple things. There's a Pimsleur language, the Rosetta Stone language, which I had used for Spanish. For Spanish, it worked very well, but I also took Spanish when I was in high school, so I had kind of an advantage here. And then Duolingo with the little owl that stalks you and sends you messages telling you need to do your lessons. But it has some very strange sentences that, like, I understand they're trying to teach the sentence structure, but like "Olan amportan ishka," like that's great. The crab drinks water, but and I understand it's teaching me a sentence structure, but I don't know when I'm going to come across a crab that I need to make sure that I'm saying that it drinks water. So the conversational skills from that really haven't been all that useful. And one day I was just randomly searching, honestly, for different language learning uh, resources, or maybe a community, and I came across Bite Size, and then I saw, the very first thing I saw, obviously, on the website was the Krav Maga, and that idea, and the explanation, I think it was from Owen, about what that means, and just incorporating it every day, even if it's just a small little thing, just to say, "Jehud" to people, when you come to talk to somebody in the morning, something. That idea really stuck with me. Like, if I could use it every day, then that would be useful. So I started with the just some of the lessons on there. I think the initially was I'll be honest, I don't remember what the program was called initially, but then after Ashtir and Tusma, that's when I really started doing more. So I actually had joined a while before, but I didn't get involved in the bite size Puble until much more recently. And as far as where I first started, I might have been able to say hello, essentially. Um, when I first started, the sentence structure, everything was very confusing because it's different from English. The order of the verb, subject, object, verb, object, subject, those types of things are different. But then the way that things are not always literally translated. In fact, it seems to me there's a lot that's not a literal translation, and so it's taken time to figure that out. But I feel that the interactions on Bite Size Global have been absolutely invaluable, because I am free to be able to say it the wrong thing. And then, particularly, I've been very grateful for your help. You come in and give me the information, and then if I don't understand, I've been able to ask, when would I use, ata on versus something else, and then you'll and you send, here's this information for this and this and this, and it's been extremely helpful to start to figure this out. And now, since I've started interacting on that community, the grammar is starting to make more sense. The way to say things is starting to make more sense. And personally, I still feel that I have a very long way to go. But every once in a while, I will realize, hey, wait, I do know how to say that, and it's a good feeling when I have that idea. I don't have to stop and look something up. I'm like, wait, I remember how to say that. And so, every once in a while, I have that moment, and I feel, yes, I'm making progress. I'm moving the right direction. And then I'll read something like, okay, I don't have any idea what this says. But then the next time I read it, like, oh, okay, I've got this, these parts make sense. I think I have the general idea now. And then the next time that I go back and read it, like, I have more. And so that's been, I think that, honestly, Bite Size has been the most useful resource because of the community, because we can speak with each other, and because there's no judgment. I can go in there and say something totally incorrectly, and somehow you still figure out what I'm trying to say, and people still try to figure out what I'm trying to say, and then help me to say it correctly in a completely non-judgmental and supportive environment, which has been phenomenal, because everything else, you're kind of on your own. And so I can squawk back to the owl on Duolingo about the crab drinking water, and I don't know if I know what I'm talking about or not, and it dings or it doesn't, and that's the best I can do. But with that community, it's very nice to have that interaction, and to know that there are other people that are on that same journey, some farther, some that are newer, but that we're all working together, kind of towards the same thing. We all want to be there, and want to interact, and want to learn this. So it's been phenomenal.
Great. That's lovely feedback, Walter, on everyone's, participation in Puble. And I suppose yeah, the non-judgmental thing is very important, and that people are afraid to make mistakes sometimes, and they feel embarrassed, or they feel, they might have to check everything before it goes up. Well, that's why I'm here. I am the manager of Puble. My job wouldn't exist without learners. If everyone was fluent in the language, well, I wouldn't need to be there correcting anyone. And it's important for people to know that, you weren't the first person to make a mistake, and you're not going to be the last person to make a mistake. And in particular, certain mistakes are just very common. And I've corrected the same thing 10 times with 10 different people, and I've corrected the same person 10 times on the same mistake, and I'm not sitting at the other end calling anyone any names. I was a learner at one point, of Irish when I started in school. I got things wrong. I was corrected by the teacher. I studied Spanish in college. I didn't excel at that whatsoever. I was a learner of German. So me in particular, I have definitely, I feel for people learning a language. It's not easy. And I know that people put in effort in what they write, and it does take a lot of, brain power to put together even a few sentences. So I definitely like to try and give people as much feedback as I possibly can, and make it as clear as possible. Because if I'm just correcting you, saying no, wrong, this is right, wrong, right, sure, there's no one's benefiting from that. And the fact that even the other day, there was a post that went up, and one of the members got back to their fellow member with an answer before I did. So I appreciate that, even the learners themselves, if they're a little bit further along in their journey, as you said, they can come back and correct people who aren't so sure on certain topics. So it makes for a really nice environment, a really friendly environment. And yeah, I think everyone who is on there enjoys going on there, whenever they can, be it daily or weekly. There's no check in or check out, and you don't have to tick boxes. As you said, it is Gaeilge Gach Law is our motto, Irish every day. But again, everyone has a life. You yourself, as you said, you're a busy man. You've three kids, as you told me before we hit record here. You also are teaching. You're a doctor. You've a million and one things going on, but you've still somehow found the time to put some effort into the language. But if you're not on Puble, for a week, I'm not banging on your door, well, on your virtual door, saying hello, where are you? There's no pressure from us either, but we do try and facilitate and make it available, for people that if they can practice Irish every day with us. So I suppose, Walter, the last question then is looking to the future and what your goal might be. Do you have a goal? You don't necessarily have to. Or where would you like to find yourself in the next weeks, months, years, decades? Tell me.
So my ultimate goal, honestly, is to be able to have a coherent, relatively fluent conversation. And I've been to Ireland. The place I have been, in Balclia, and areas where it's not often, Dublin, where it's not often spoken. I was able to talk to a few people a little bit, just to ask them questions about, what was it like to learn in school. But I found a lot of people there didn't really, they like Glasgow wasn't really top of mind right there. Beautiful place. I absolutely loved being there. I stayed last time I was there. I stayed on Grafton Street, right outside Stephen's Green, and just every day picked a direction and walked and just went and found what I could find with no agenda, and it was amazing. But eventually, I'd like to go to one of the other, the Gaeltag, and actually, speak and immerse and try to really, solidify what I know. And so someday, as you said, things are busy. So when I have that opportunity, I'm trying to convince my wife to go to. She does not have any Irish, so she'll be dependent on me. So I have to know what I'm doing. But that's where I'd like to be eventually. Is I'd like to go and really immerse in one of those areas where the language is still vibrant and alive, and be able to be able to get around and uh, not need as much English when I'm there.
I think that's a good goal, and I think that's an achievable goal. And I actually just thought of my final question to kind of circle back around to what you said at the start regarding music. And you say you're a musician and you do like to play. Do you have a favorite artist, band, song, or recommendations even for our viewers or listeners?
There's so many. As far as just Irish music in general, I'll be honest, my favorite band is Flogging Molly, Irish American rock band. If you've ever heard of them, my middle daughter is actually named Molly after them, which I was surprised my wife allowed, but we went with it. Uh, I also, Ismail Sholin, August Kneecap, which it wasn't the kind of music that I would have originally thought would be interesting, but someone on the one of the uh, Puble posts had actually suggested them, and it turns out it's pretty entertaining. And then older stuff, Dubliners, the Wolf Tones, things like that. But pretty much anything that has, if it's got a mandolin and a fiddle going, then I'll enjoy it.
I think I'm the same as you. I'm happy out with most things, and I'll throw on most mixed playlists on Spotify and be happy out. But yeah, some good recommendations there. I'll check out that band. What was it? Floggy Molly?
Flogging Molly. Yep.
Okay, Flogging Molly. Okay, that'll be my this evening's playlist. So, well, Walter, gur míle míle maith as a bheith leirlumm. Thank you so much for speaking to me. I really, really appreciate you taking the time, and I really enjoyed learning more about where you are and where you want to be, and about your life in general, and how you're enjoying the language. It seems that you really are using the language as much as one possibly can away from the country of Ireland. So mahu and well done, and keep at it. And if anyone is interested in learning a little bit more about what we were talking about, we had mentioned our online community, Bite Size Puble, where we do all of our interacting, where I am every day. And this is available to explore and grow members. So if you want to find more out about our memberships, you can go to bitesize.irish/memberships. We have weekly calls, we have monthly calls, depending on the membership that you have. So you can find out all there is to know on that link there that I have. And if anyone has any personal questions for Walter, you can leave them in the comments. And Walter, you can keep an eye on this video from when it goes live and reply if you wish. You don't have to. And if anyone is in the area where Walter lives, be sure to drop a message, and maybe we can begin a little community over there in Missouri, who want to learn Irish. So again, míle míle buíochas, gur míle maith agat, agus slán go fóill.
Your Grow Irish Language journey is waiting for you at Bite Size Irish. Sign up today for Grow membership at signup.irish.